I almost lost it all because I was chasing the shiny object. And then one day I was, as I mentioned, I was talking to the King of Malaysia and said, are you happy? And he said, no, I'm not. The palace is like a prison to me. And then I had this kind of wake up call about, well, what is actually really important in life?
Yeah, but I want to know, Chris, why have you stayed with Grant?
Yeah, why?
We all want to know.
Chris and Grant Wattie, welcome to Purpose Partners for Life.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Thank you so much.
Kia ora, tēnā koutou, koutou.
Yeah, kia ora.
I want to throw you under the bus, the both of you, right away, and I want you to share with our amazing audience, what does Purpose Partners for Life mean to you both?
Okay, well, the first thing that comes to mind, would you like me to go first? Or
Yeah, sure.
would you like to be on purpose?
Absolutely.
The first thing that comes to light for me is, must have been about 25 years ago, I was asked the question, what would I like to be saying at my funeral to my life partner? And there was a really challenging question, right? We were taken through this exercise, and here I am in my grave, and there's Christine, talking to me in my grave, and so the words, I just pulled it up just a few days ago. That's why it's in my memory. But I did that 25 years ago. And what I wrote down there is the same words now. That we were connected, that we were intimate, that we just valued the friendship that we had, the time that we spent with our partners, the beautiful times that we sit down and have coffee and breakfast. And, we've been through life's ups and downs, and yet we're still here, supporting each other, and our love is growing. It was those kinds of words. So Purpose Partners for Life means that. And for me, that is the outcome. That's the secret to happiness, the secret to success, that you can be there at the end of your life and kind of look back and say, yeah, there's no regrets.
Love it.
What do you reckon? Is that a pretty good answer, or is it a pretty good answer?
I didn't expect that answer.
Chris, do you want to have a crack at answering that?
Oh, look, I think Grant answered that awesomely, and I can add a little more, perhaps, from my perspective. When we met, we were 18, so pretty young. That's how come we've just celebrated 40 years together, married actually. So we were young. We made the commitment to be together, and yet it was not that purposeful in some ways. It was, we were young, we fell in love, we decided this was it, and had the kids and, the business and everything else. And I think, when I think back to the crunch point, well, there's been a couple of crunch points actually in our relationship. That is when we recommitted and where purpose became our mission. We really thought about, what is it, as Grant said, what is it that he wants to hear others say at his funeral? What is really, really important in life? And, for most people, it seems to be, in our culture anyway, it seems to be like more shiny objects, more stuff, accumulating stuff. And yet, when you come to the crunch and you realize, well, actually, I think it is my partner and my family, and being happy, not just some of the time, but all of the time. And that's the journey that we've been on. And that's
great question.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Well, thank you for that. It's
Well,
always
thank you for the question.
It's always fascinating to hear what other people think of it. It was a name that was given to us by a beautiful friend of ours, a new friend. She said to us, you guys are purpose partners for life. And it just struck us like a couple of lightning bolts, and it's just stuck ever since. It's probably been, close to a year now. So thank you very much. It was great.
Well, and that's an amazing, speaking that into your life, that is amazing. Words are so powerful. So to actually have that spoken to you, and I really want to acknowledge that too, that's what I'm sensing speaking to you, that there is a purpose in your partnership.
Mm.
And, we're just very grateful to be here with you today.
You are so right. In difficult moments, you understand what really is important in your life. Because as we talk about all these shiny objects, you don't really need lots of money when you are not in a relationship, when you don't have a partner who is holding your hand during some challenging times, or you don't have anyone to talk to or spend time with. Like, I feel like the world becomes black and white.
Yeah.
But I wanna congratulate you with your 40th wedding anniversary. That's so amazing, guys, and you look so happy and in love. I just wanted to ask you, how does it feel to be for 40 years together?
I mean, for me, it really just feels like being at home. So what does it feel like being at home? To me, being at home is the best place you can be, because you're not chasing, you're not anxious. And a lot of people that I talk to, they're frustrated, they're anxious, they're burnt out, and there's a lot of pain and there's a lot of hurt in the world. We had the most glamorous life ever, and then I almost lost it all because I was chasing the shiny object, as you say. I was kind of like this born entrepreneur, always chasing external success. And then one day I was, as I mentioned, I was talking to the King of Malaysia and said, are you happy? Because I was on this quest for, who's actually happy? And he said, no, I'm not. The palace is like a prison to me. And then I had this kind of wake-up call about, well, what is actually really important in life? And then I came back home to my daughter, and she had tears in her eyes and said, Dad, I just want more time with you and Mum. Why do you travel overseas all the time? Well, it's better business, It's like, it's better business in America or Colombia or elsewhere than little old New Zealand. And so that's when we recommitted to focus on what really, really matters. Like I said before, the eulogy, wanting to be there at the end of the life with my daughter and Christine and my grandkids, saying, hey, look, we think you're awesome. And that's what it's all about for me.
And for me, our business is called Araha Leadership. Well, Araha is the New Zealand Māori word for love. So it's like that connectedness that you experience, that we each long for that experience of connectedness with the other. So with that real deep araha comes that peace, that joy, that contentment, that actually I am okay, exactly as I am, through the difficult times, for ourselves or our loved ones, and also through the happy times, that I am okay and I belong here. Like, as Grant used the word, I'm at home, and I just feel I don't have to be something else, I can just be me, and that is perfect. So that is what I feel about being at 40 years, and God willing, another 40 years together, experiencing this joy.
Yeah, hopefully you won't fall off your bike again.
Yeah, so talking about accidents, even in incredible pain recently, having fallen off my bike, I knew it was okay to be, and I know you guys have had your own experiences recently, that you don't have to pretend, you don't have to fake it. You're authentic, and we can have honest conversations, because to be really, really honest, it's not Grant's natural space to be the nurse, the housekeeper. He quite likes cooking. And so we had some honest conversation. And we came to a new temporary, we hope, but it could be, for some couples it could be permanent, that you make an adjustment.
I didn't realize you did so much.
So there's a gift.
But we sorted it out. We said, okay,
Yeah.
well, why don't you write a list, and then I'll just look at the list, so you don't have to keep on telling me to pick that up or do that or clean that.
So it is okay, we can just be ourselves in relationship. And I think, when I dive deep into thinking about this, I think that is actually how we're created to be, you know, at home in relationship with another, so that the other person actually sees you for who you are, authentically, 100%. That is okay. And so many people that we work with, they've lost that. You know, they've got a mask on because the world expects that at work, and they come home, and when they get home, it's like, oh my goodness, all the negative stuff just is downloaded on their partner. And then they wonder why, when they've got that little bit of time for intimacy, they take their dog to the doggy daycare and they're at home for a few hours, why they're not suddenly intimate. You know, it's just, you know, these are real examples, you know, of clients that we've worked with that just wonder, why is it not working? You know, it's every moment of every day that we're in this place of peace and connection with the other.
Well, I want to ask you further to that, to the both of you, because you both work at the top end of what you would consider like executive coaching, sort of like and you mentioned, you know, the King of Malaysia as someone who is effectively a client at some point. What are some of the consequences of not getting the help that people need for this kind of turmoil?
Well, it's a really interesting question. The consequences are some kind of wake-up call. You know, I just recently got a text from a guy, and he said he's 20K in debt, another guy's $1 million in debt, another guy, you know, my wife has left me, or I've had an emotional affair, and I've got it all. You know, global chairman of a international company. I've got it all. I've made it. I'm 70 years old, and guess what? My wife's leaving me. My family doesn't want to know me, so I've lost it all. You know, the consequences are you don't have it all unless you wake up and pay attention before it's too late. Where does happiness come from? Where does peace? Where does joy? What actually really matters in life? I mean, you can have it all, but you really do have to do the inner work. And you know, it's a journey from the kind of the worst of me and the best of me. You know, that's a very simple way of looking at it. Like, there is a side of me that used to be a real dick. You know, I'm just focused on me and my stuff and feeling good and making things happen and external achievements, because that all came from my childhood wound as a 5-year-old on the playground when the boys didn't want to play with me and I felt like I didn't belong. So I've got these patterns that are running me my whole life, seeking belonging, seeking connection in external things. And then when I don't get it, I sabotage that job, or I sabotage that, or friendship, or, you know, and luckily, you know, Chris has stayed with me. And it's been a challenge at times. Well, does that answer your question?
Yeah, but I want to know, Chris, why have you stayed with Grant?
Yeah, why?
We all want to know.
There's lots of young, attractive builders that come around here from time to time.
Why have I stayed with Grant? Great question. You know, we made the commitment. So I do think there's something to be said for committing and sharing children. And, you know, basically when we chose each other, we knew that we were life partners. We knew that, like, there was the spark. So I knew that, and I held on to that. And I think, you know, likewise, Grant did that for me at times, you know. So we're, you know, it's not all one way. We're complementary and different. Actually, you know, unless there's, you know, serious abuse or addictions and things like that that are just not able to be worked through, then most people have actually chosen the right partner, a good partner for them, but they've just lost sight of what's important. And I think that's really what happened to us. And so we kind of lost sight of it, but not completely. There was a thread.
It's quite a long time ago.
Yeah, that was 25-ish years ago. You know, there was a thread still together, and I fought for that thread. And it wasn't just on a physical, emotional level. It's also that spiritual connection that actually there's something bigger here that's worth, you know. I knew that spark could be reignited, so that's why. Yeah. And just looking, you know, you asked Grant about the consequences earlier of not working it out. So, you know, complementary and different most partners are. So for me, the consequence was a little different to that. You know, it's going back to my inner self that, you know, I'm not okay. You know, a lot of people have that I'm not okay. There's a fragmented kind of past where I can go back to, and it's actually, I'm standing for something bigger than this. I know that I am okay, both on my own and also in relationship with Grant, and I can be authentic. So that's the cost, is wearing this mask that everybody thinks, oh wow, you're amazing, you're the perfect couple. That's what everybody said about us. Oh, they're the perfect couple, 3 beautiful kids, great business, you know, everything was looking so rosy on the outside. People, even close friends and family, don't see what's happening in the 4 walls here. And that's what we're talking about, is actually, it's not just a facade, it's an authentic connection, and it's a beautiful connection, and it actually radiates out now that, you know, our own children come to us and chat to us, and our neighbors come and chat to us, as well as our clients, because it's real, you know.
But it's also intentional. It's making choices and creating love. You know, we love each other not because it's a feeling. It's built up in all the little things, you know, sitting down, having a coffee, having a chat. How's your day? What are you doing today? Oh, and being there with Christine when you know, we go biking together, we have fun together, but also, you know, she had an accident, so I'm there to kind of pick her up and now and take over doing the vacuum cleaning and some of the chores. Which is okay for a time, but because then, you know, she'll pick me up as well. But all those little things, and there's thousands of them, they all add up to love, you know. And so you create like a bank account. We avoid the conflict by just stop and deal with our own emotional turmoil, you know, from hitting our childhood wounds. We just stop and walk away from that, and then come back once we've processed our own frustrations. So we can come back and have a conversation. Okay, what are you needing here? What am I needing? Let's make requests. You know, so there are some practical things we didn't know. You know, we're just used to our parents either fighting and bickering, you know, like the tiger and the turtle, when one person's arguing and judging and blaming, and the other one goes into their shell, like my dad used to do, and don't want to talk about it. So nothing gets resolved. Well, we resolve everything, and sometimes it's confronting. We don't argue and bicker. That's the thing. We do get triggered, but we've learned to walk away and then own our own stuff, and then just come back and communicate so we can be on the same page. So essentially, we're eliminating the negatives from withdrawals from the bank account and just creating more positive. So now we're just a whole lot of positive things, and you go, well, you know, that kind of feels pretty good.
Yeah, and so then love is, like you said, it's not primarily or first a feeling. You know, if you know, love is a verb. It's an action. It's a choice, as Grant says, and then you get the feeling. You know, that these little things that we do often, small things often, especially adding positives into the emotional bank account, actually add up to that feeling that is always there.
I love this bank account, emotional bank account. We're gonna use it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like a regular bank account. You know, you put in deposits, but do you know how many positives, and there's research around this, how many positives you need to be putting into that bank account to every one negative withdrawal? Have a guess. Like, how many positives do you think you need to put in?
I know. I think I've heard this. I'm going to guess 10 to 1.
And what about you, Anna? What do you think?
I would agree, 10 to 1. I feel like
8 or 10, I forget. Am I right?
8.
Lovely. You're in, and you know, the research double that, 20 to 1. I know, there's a lot of positives, and that's because the negatives are like Velcro. You know, it's that survival, fight, flight, freeze. They stick to us.
Couples that separate are around 4 to 1. So there's still four positives, but 1 negative. And after a while, just like, oh, I'm tired of this. You know, it's like every second day there's something, major drama.
Yeah.
And it's all because of that conflict cycle, you know, that I talk about, tiger turtle. It just about, I don't know how many couples I've seen. You know, I used to be a couples therapist as well before we did mentoring. You know, just about every couple had the same pattern going on.
Just to put that right, it used to be thought to be about 10 to 1. Now, you know, now it's 20 to 1 because of that Velcro Teflon effect of negative, positive. And in conflict, as Grant said, it's 4 or 5 to 1 that we, you know, even healthy couples have. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Holy hell. It wasn't that long ago that I heard that stat either. So, but it makes perfect sense, actually. And
Yeah.
it seems to me like there's an availability of, it's more socially acceptable to exit marriage now than what it was even 10 years ago, right? So maybe that's why.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My question to you, how people can recognize when is the opportunity to fight for relationship, save relationship, or it's better to leave relationship?
The first thing we need to be thinking about is safety. So if someone is unsafe in the relationship, they need to leave. Okay. If someone's, you know, violent and they or their children or people around them are feeling really unsafe, it's, you know, that's an important distinction. In most other situations, it starts with how we're showing up. So the other person in the relationship, how am I showing up? How am I leading myself? And that opens up the potential to actually reconnect and fall back in love, which is our dream for every client that we work with.
Yeah, because there's another statistic, and that's, you know, 50% of all relationships in the US anyway separate, right? So do you know what the percentage is for the second time round? So if they separate and get married again, do you know what the percentage is?
No.
It's 65% roughly. And what about the third time round? Yeah. And what about the third time round? It's 75%. So in other words, we often see people in their second or third time round, they go, okay, I get it. This is me. I ran away from the first one and the second one, and now the same issues are showing up. I better do the work on me.
Elizabeth Taylor must have been real effed up.
That's true.
Most of us are.
Yeah.
So where can people get a hold of you guys?
Yeah, the best place is on the website, grantwattie.com, or Christine has a leadership website, arahaleadership.com.
So
just a question I had for you before we start. Why did you start Purpose Partners? Why did the both of you start it? Or probably a better question, at the end of your life, having started Purpose Partners, what would you want to say about it?
Great question.
You don't often prepare for these when you're interviewing other people, do you? The obviousness of just the language that resonated so deeply with us. The 5.5 years that we've been together and the adversity that we've overcome together has been powerful inspiration for other people already. And so this was a formalization, I think, of that, realizing for me, people think I'm charismatic and funny and nice, but when I walk in the room with Anna in my arm, they think I'm Tony Stark and Iron Man. And
true story.
And you know, even more profound than that, I had a 60-year-old woman tell me 3 months after she signed on to one of my individual programs that the main reason that she signed on was when Anna walked into the video camera of the Zoom meeting she said, I judge a man by the woman he is with. And I like, that floored me. So I see the power of working in unison. You know, two heads are better than one, and what better person to do it with than the person that you're crazy about. So that's my interpretation. What do you reckon?
Beautiful
and just
answer.
Over the course of our life, I saw that Laban has an amazing skills in communication, meeting people, and I'm like more grounded, you know, doing some stuff behind the scene. he does his job very well. I do my job very well as a hypnotherapist. But when we can come together, when we join those skills and experiences and two minds, we create something extraordinary, like a miracles.
And to answer your question about on my deathbed, that's really made me think. And it might be as audacious as setting an intention for what we're doing, to be responsible for the healing and saving of 1 million marriages. And
Beautiful.
and because we are both children of divorce, and the ramifications of divorce were a large part of the reason we experience so much dysfunction. And, you know, you'll have the data on this, but children of divorced parents end up way worse off in almost all metrics. So feel free to comment on that as well, but that to me is obvious.
Yeah, I've seen thousands of people with issues, you know, coming out of divorce, and I love that answer because ultimately it's touching 1 million people. That, you know, that has a flow-on effect for all of those children, all of those hurt couples, all of those hurt people, and which flows on throughout society. Can you imagine how many people 1 million people touch? I mean that's a big chunk of society, and tapping into the meaning, you know, so deeply for the both of you, that'll have a huge impact on the work you do. So I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I just want to add an encouraging, you know, an encouragement to you both. You know, I can see that in the two of you. It's radiating. You know, you know, it's very clear. You know, as we're talking, there's that connection between you and between us too. As we talk, that I'm experiencing, and I know that you guys are doing some awesome work and out there in the world, and you know, we are better together. We're complementary others and better together, and I'm just want to encourage you in that mission. It sounds awesome.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Before we go, what would be your best advice to your 25 years old self?
The best advice would be, I want to say this in humility, that, you know, the 25-year-old self was looking for someone like Grant and I. We reached out, we couldn't find someone. There was nobody, you know, we reached out. So it actually, and today I think this is a good thing about where the world's at now. There is a lot more specific help out there. So we've struggled all those years trying to find the way. We've studied counseling, studied education, studied coaching, studied all these different things to get to where we are now, because we couldn't find that person. So my best advice would actually to invest in your relationship. You know, do it, as you say, for each other, for yourself, and especially for those people around you. You know, those hurting kids, those metrics around divorce, you know, not out of fear, do it out of love for those around you, because it makes all the difference.
The only advice I'd give to my 25-year-old self is love yourself. You know, there's so many people out there with this negative message: I'm not okay, there's something wrong with me, I don't belong, you know, like I had running in the background. And so then I'm trying to prove to everybody that I'm okay. You know, so the world needs what you guys are doing, what we're doing, to connect and belong. But you already belong within yourself. Love yourself, and exactly for all of the, you know, the so-called strengths, and love the weaknesses, because they're also your strengths. There's nothing wrong with having weaknesses. You know, you can still, you know, be the best version of yourself, but it's only through self-love is the highest form of love. Because if I don't love myself, how can I love you? How can I be there for you? How can I be there for Christine, for my children, you know, when they're suffering? Because I'm too concerned about, you know, my wounds and what I need. So love yourself, Grant, at 25.
Ladies and gentlemen, Chris and Grant Wattie.